Hey Econ teachers, this is Clifford. Let me tell you a story. About 10 years ago, I was in Leander, Texas, and I was presenting to AP teachers, and right before I went on, the superintendent came out and he told them this: I'm gonna be walking around on the first day of school, and if I see any of you guys doing a syllabus, I'm gonna be furious. Okay, I don't remember if he actually had a Texas accent, but he did have a good point, which is don't do the syllabus on the first day. And the reason is simple. The purpose of day one is to get students excited about day two, to get them excited about the class. So when the next school year came around, I decided to listen to him and say, I'm not gonna do the syllabus, I'm gonna do something completely different. If you do this activity with your students or any activity the first week of school, please send me a picture or a short video of your students getting excited about economics. I wanna make a compilation video from a ton of different schools showing students actively engaged in learning this stuff. I think it'd be super awesome. So here's what I do. So the students walk in the room, they take a seat, I introduce myself, say a few things about economics, then I ask for 2 volunteers. The students walk up and I hand one of them my cell phone and I say, hey, you're a seller, you want to sell a cell phone. You're the buyer, you want to buy this cell phone. For the buyer, I write down on a piece of paper $300. And I said, this is how much you're willing to pay for the cell phone, not $1 more. And I show the entire class, but obviously not the seller. And for the seller, I write down $20, show it to him and say, listen, don't sell it for $1 less than this. This is your minimum willing to sell it for. You're a seller selling that cell phone. I show the entire classroom, but I don't show the buyer. Then I say, all right, let's watch you guys negotiate the price for a product. Ready and go. And the 2 students negotiate a price. At the end, I make sure they shake hands and the seller gives the buyer that cell phone. We all give them a round of applause and I spend just a few minutes talking about strategies that buyers and sellers use when they're negotiating. For example, buyers will talk about how crappy the product is, or they saw other ones at a lower price, or they lowball and say, okay, I'll only pay you $1 for that. Sellers, on the other hand, talk about how great the product is and say they can sell it to anybody at $1,000, but they'll make a deal just for you. And it's at this point when I introduce the idea of consumer surplus and producer surplus. Now, this is a concept that students learn in microeconomics. It's not something you really teach in macro, but it's not hard. It's very intuitive. On the board, you write down the buyer's maximum to pay of $300, and you write down the seller's minimum, which was $20, and then you write down their negotiated price somewhere in the middle of that, let's just say $120. Then you actually calculate that consumer surplus. So the difference between what the buyers want to pay of $300 and the actual price of $120 is $180. And for the producer surplus, the difference between the price, what they want to sell it for, that was $100. Then comes the big question: who won, the buyer or the seller? And of course, the students will say, oh, the buyer won because they made more consumer surplus than the producer surplus, and you give them the big reveal, which is they both won. They're both walking away from this transaction super happy. The buyer's happy. Anything less than $300, they're stoked. Seller sold it for anything more than $20, they're stoked. Both people are happy, and that's the key to the free market. This quote from Milton Friedman says it best: the most important single central fact about a free market is no exchange takes place unless both parties benefit. And I tell students that this is going to happen a lot in my class. There's things you think you understand, but economics is going to help you understand it better at a deeper level. And most importantly, taking this class, learning economics, is going to make you a better decision maker. By the way, if you want more details about the Pearl Exchange activity, I made a video that goes over it in detail. Take a look at that. In this video, I'm giving you an overview and a strategy, an idea, which is do something active and exciting on the first day. Next, I tell the students, okay, you saw 2 students do it. Now let's have everybody practice their negotiation skills. I cut the class in half. I send the sellers to one side of the room, buyers to the other side of the room. Sellers have them crumple up a piece of paper. This becomes the pearl they're trying to sell to the buyer. And I tell them, you're only going to sell this once. So you're making one sale, hand them the pearl over, and you're done. And then most importantly, come up to me afterwards, just the seller, come to me and tell me what you sold it for, and I'll keep track of these different prices on the board for this first round, round 1. I give the sellers a minimum willing to sell it for price, whatever it is. It doesn't really matter what the numbers are, so it could be $10 or $30, whatever it is. And I give the buyers a maximum willing to pay, $500 or $120, doesn't matter what it is. They say, all right, here we go. Let's create a market. Ready, begin. The students are actively engaged. They're buying and trying to sell from each other and trying to negotiate prices. And they're all super excited and it gets all super loud. The students start sitting down when they're done. Sellers come to me, report their actual number. And then I say, all right, got 10 seconds left, finish up your sale. And then we stop, everyone sits down and we look at the numbers. And of course, the numbers are all over the place, and there's outliers, and I say, all right, we're gonna do it again, except now the sellers are the buyers and the buyers are the sellers, and we're gonna do it again. What do you think is gonna happen in these numbers? Do you think that they're gonna look like this, they're gonna look different? So I have all the sellers go to one side, the buyers go to the other side, give them the numbers. I just give them the same numbers, I don't make any changes, the same numbers as the last time. Ready and go, let's make a market. They do it again, and sellers have to report the score to me at the front board, and I have, round 2 written down up there. Again, the class is loud, students are super excited, they're buying and selling from each other. You finish off the round, stop, take a look at the numbers, and they have got less outliers. They're starting to get closer to the middle, closer towards something like an equilibrium. Now the key here is I'm not having them draw supply and demand, I'm not having them write down definitions, I'm just having them getting actively engaged and excited about economics. Now round 3 is when it gets really good. Remember, I told them that economics to make you a better decision maker. Let's see if you can use economics intuitively, if you can put things together. And I do it this way. I say a mysterious virus has killed many oysters, and therefore they have destroyed these pearls. We have less sellers than buyers. So before I had 15 students who were sellers, 15 buyers, I go to each of the sellers and I take away 5 or 6 pearls. So now there's only 10 or 9 sellers, and I tell those students to go sit down, and so you have more buyers than sellers. But I don't want students just sitting there not doing anything, so I have those students who used to be able to sell their pearl actually become buyers. So now I have over here 20 students, and over there only 10 students who are selling the pearls. And before I begin, I say, make a prediction. What do you think is gonna happen to the price of pearls? Are you gonna go up, or is it gonna go down? Is it gonna stay the same? What's gonna happen? I give the sellers their minimum, the buyers their maximum. I say, all right, here we go. Let's start a market. They get moving, and the sellers report to me the numbers. And of course, the numbers skyrocket. They go all the way up to like 120, whatever the maximum is, they end up somewhere around there. But a few of them might actually be at the same number as round 1 and round 2, and you can tell the students, listen, and don't pick on that student who did it, but just say, listen, this is why you're in econ class. You should have recognized before we started that the price was gonna go up. The quantity supply is greater than the quantity demanded. Prices have a tendency to go up. As a seller, if you knew that, you knew you could sell it for a higher price. Understanding economics is going to make you a better decision maker. You can do more with it, but at that point I usually stop and the bell rings, the kids leave, and they're excited about day 2. But the big takeaway here is not just for economics, it's for all your classes. Think about how much better doing an activity like this is than doing the syllabus. Mic drop. If you do this activity with your students or any activity the first week of school, please send me a picture or a short video. So send that my way. In early September, I'll make sure to make that compilation video, give you and your students a shout out, and show all these students getting excited about this amazing class. And let me know if you need anything. If you haven't already taken a look at my ultimate review packet or my worksheets or my teacher resources, I want to give you a free trial so you can take a look and see if it's something that you want to buy and get for you and your students. So take a look at my website, acdcecon.com, if you want to learn more about any of that kind of stuff. Thanks for watching. Till next time.